And we are back. I hope you enjoyed that lovely 10-second break. As soon as I cut to commercials, we had a lobby.
Yes, we did indeed. As we look, I'm trying to find it. There's so many observers. 8, 9. Oh my god, there you are. Oh, you're Control 1, the hotkey. But yes, here we are. So game number 2. Classic is leading 1-0, but spawning in the in the top right, it is the Red Zerg representing Alpha X. It is RagnaroK.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the man who is leading this series, representing himself as he did recently leave Alpha X and is currently a free agent. It is Classic.
And free agent sounds so kind of like cool.
I'm sure Classic doesn't think so. I mean,
But yeah, here we go. Like ZVP. Unfortunately, you can't bring the PvD, the PvPD, the PvDPD goodness, PvP-ish goodness.
yeah. So I guess to catch everyone up to speed, it looks like Zound versus Creator is going to be happening off stream. And they're going to provide replays to the admins, so I guess we can cast them from replays if we want. We probably won't. We'll just Rotterdam can have all of that. It's fine. And instead we are jumping into this series. Again, I do apologize. We had the opportunity to cover game 1, but we opted to go for the PvP instead, and we kind of got, spun around and things didn't work out. So we don't really know what happened in the first game other than Classic taking a lead.
Yeah, I would be kind of curious to see how that game did actually end up, because we see that Classic is I feel like both Classic and Hero, they came back roughly the same time period, not exactly the same time, but they entered the meta, and Hero has actually been really excelling. He's actually got a really positive win rate versus Rogue, as demonstrated in the most recent GSL series, but Classic 2 is a very distinguished, very strong player with a distinct play style as well. So I'd love to see how he goes up against RagnaroK, who is known for throwing curveballs, and just seeing how these players, how they interact with each other.
Yeah, I'm very torn. Obviously I'm a Zerg heart. I'm a Zerg at heart, and I want RagnaroK to do well. I would love to see him in Krefeld. I would love to see him in Germany. But at the same time, it's a little bit, the Classic story is a little bit sad, right? He came onto the scene at the same time as Hero, and one has clearly been doing better than the other. Like, Hero is considered to be the best Protoss player in the world right now, and Classic recently got let go of his team. And I assumed as soon as he got let go by Alpha X that he would get just picked up, right? Like, maybe he got another offer somewhere else, but he hasn't. He's still teamless, which means he hasn't gotten an offer somewhere else. And I do think that means that for a player like Classic, it's that much more important for him to do well here and to go abroad and to kind of get himself out there and kind of flaunt himself, so that teams can look at him and consider him to pick him up and so he can get a salary, right?
Yeah, definitely the exposure, especially this deep into StarCraft's lifespan, where teams they're not as common, at least high-level teams, as common as they were in days of old. It's important, and there's also the possibility that Classic, maybe he's looking for a better deal than than he's been offered. But I'm sure that it's something that it's a bit of a hindrance, right? You don't have people to bounce ideas off, you don't have practice partners, and it also lays into your motivation, because teammates, they can be so motivating at times. Like,
they really can be, having that supportive structure around you of a team. So yeah, there's a bit of a give and take here again. So because of all that, personally, I hope that Classic does well, and he is off to a good start. We do see he did go for a Stargate opener. He is opening up with triple Oracle. These two Oracles, their goal here is to deal damage across the map. Third one is to maintain that third base, and so far, decent amount of drone kills, and he has, oh god, he has to be careful. Ooh.
Oh my, yeah. Those Oracles are both so weak, and we see are going to be chilling back. Shields thankfully going to come into the fray, but Twilight Council and a Forge follow-up. What do you make of this? We see there's nothing else coming out of the Stargate, and we see the third base secured. So looks like a bit of macroeconomic play from Classic so far.
Yeah, so far this looks as if he's imitating Hero's new PvZ style. Hero loves to open up triple Oracle and go straight into +1 and Blink Stalkers. And the Oracles have multiple purposes. They can, one, kill Lings that threaten to surround the Stalkers, and they can also set down kind of minefields or stasis traps to have areas to fall back to when you're pressuring across the map with your gateway-focused army. So yeah, we have seen a lot of this recently, but personally, I haven't seen how Classic can control this kind of army. Oof.
Yeah, nice little stasis there, and that's the thing with these oracles in their dead space. They can come in and be annoying. It forces like greens back, and actually, he's gonna get both greens as well here.
For the cost of his life, he does get both queens. He does get another wave of drones. So Classic has done a surprising amount of damage. Oh, he tries to leave, but he loses the second Oracle. At least he was able to deal some economic damage with it, but losing 2 Oracles like that, I don't know if it's worth it, because Classic has to remake them.
Yeah, that's right. For the playstyle he's going for, you kind of need the oracles to kind of keep eyes on. I gotta sneeze light. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you need the oracles. Thank you. You need the oracles to kind of keep tabs on your opponent's army, see where they're going. They even help in defending all-ins as well. But it looks like Classic, yeah, with Blink and +1 on the way. Maybe he's gearing up for an attack, but no double forge. Second forge coming down, popularized by Creator actually. But yeah, it looks like just a standard macro game so far.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've been tuning into GSL, if you've been tuning into ESL Open Cup Asia, a lot of Protoss players have adopted this style. Not all Protoss players. There are some players like Zest who still do their own thing. With mixed success. But yes, it's all about those Blink Stalkers. It's all about that gateway army. We can eventually see a transition into Immortals, especially because we're going to be seeing Roach Ling coming out from RagnaroK. I don't know what the hell these drones are doing. They weren't like Oracle stasising or anything. I don't know, but we're going on a bit of a field trip.
Yeah, and here we see like the oracles again being handy, defending the space as he moves out. But you know, those oracles, that could have been like 6 stalkers worth of gas there. As we see RagnaroK also going to be moving out, and is Classic going to concede here, or is he going to be aggressive?
He does spot the army, but again, RagnaroK, he is done droning. He has 63 workers, and that is it. He doesn't want to be the defender. He wants to be here across the map, and Classic has to be careful not to get surrounded.
Yeah, he does indeed, as we actually see. You know, this is 3 oracles actually going away at these roaches, and the wall off there. Yeah. These Lings coming into the 4th base, and the Zealot's going to have them on their way. And so far, Classic's defense has been outstanding.
Oh yeah, exactly. All these roaches are going to be cleaned up. The Lings of RagnaroK were kind of idle, doing their own thing. They get walled up by the force fields, and the roaches go down.
Yeah, well, that's incredible, and Classic's just playing fantastically so far. Looking at the units lost, it's 15 units to 88, and it just looks like, even though the Oracle's out of energy, I think he's held. They've done their work.
Yeah, I assumed that RagnaroK was going around to like loop around and get a full surround on the Stalkers, but that never happened. Instead, he went for a run by that didn't accomplish anything either, and RagnaroK was so committed with that push, and usually the first push is the hardest, it's the strongest, it's the scariest. Now, not so much.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you, lad, and he is still going to poke away and shoot at these gateways, but the unit comp that RagnaroK's going for, like, his oracles are pretty effective against it, and I don't see how RagnaroK can push in, especially with the low range of the roaches, and big blink by Classic, however.
Oh god, exactly. Meanwhile, we do have a Ling run by there. We go. Finally, the Lings are part of this engagement, but the blinks of Classic are just too damn good. Same can be said for these oracles, as RagnaroK's army is just melting, mate.
Melting indeed. It's even slow Zealot's getting up in person. The roaches, and RagnaroK, like he's only on 63 workers, and again we see this mass kind of gateway style that's starting to get popularized, and it's working.
Yeah,
who needs 2 Stargate lights?
Yeah, who needs double Stargate? Who needs Immortals? Who needs disruptors against roaches? Nah, mate, just make Blink Stalkers and Oracles, and that is all you need. Again, I don't think it's intentional that we didn't get charged, but we didn't need it. GG.
GG. And Classic takes a 2-0 lead in this series, and he's looking prime to head to Germany to take TV's HomeStory Cup.
There you go. GG, well played. He only needs one more win to move on here. Oh, we'll see if he can get it done, mate. He is oh so close. Meanwhile, RagnaroK again with a very interesting style. Going for that kind of all-in. Unfortunately, I'm sure he wasn't expecting a wall. I'm sure he wasn't expecting Classic to be so well prepared for him. Oh.
Yeah, for sure. As we see game number 3 load up, and RagnaroK, you kind of have to be feeling for him. In such a commanding position against Bunny, and he's just kind of down 2 against Classic in the next qualifying match. Like, how's his mentality going to be like going into this 3rd game of the series?
I don't know, mate. Like, as you were saying, that was a really rough loss against Bunny. That was a really close series that went all the way to the ace match, and in this different matchup, it's possible that RagnaroK is having a harder time in ZVP against Protoss. You know, this is a relatively new style. You know, it's only been active for maybe a month and a half, 2 months at most. And players haven't necessarily, or there are some players that just haven't figured it out. They don't really know how they want to approach this.
Yeah, I do like it because everyone told me Lurk has made like ground Protoss unviable, and as a Zerg, you know, it kind of it makes me feel less, like, I guess, more justified in saying that 2 Stargate was, you know, you didn't have to do that, man. Like, people say you have to do it versus Zerg, but I digress. Zerg bias hashtag. But this morning, here we go in game number 3. Can he bring it back? It is representing Alpha X, the Zerg, in the red trunks in the top left. Give it up. Give your energy to RagnaroK.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself. He is blue, representing himself, the free agent, 1 game away from qualifying. It is Classic. The chin toss, mate.
Le chin toss. But yeah, here we go. Like, hatchery down by RagnaroK. Pretty conservative scat, you know, not trying to mess about with any like hatchery blocking by Classic. Is going to be annoying on the minerals. Pretty standard stuff. But light. Berlingrad is not a large map, and who does this favor? I'm thinking RagnaroK could maybe take advantage of that, but like the 3rd base is they're kind of exposed a bit, aren't they?
I'll be honest, mate. I've seen Hero pull Solar apart on this map. Like, oh my god, the way that you can maneuver with your Blink Stalkers and your Oracles as well, like, it can be pretty devastating. We didn't really get to see too much of it from Classic, though. That's the thing. Like, last game he was the defender. You know, we didn't get to see how well he was able to reinforce and control and deal with, like, you know, pushing in towards the bases. So it's still a little bit hard to tell. But if Classic's going to go for that same ground toss Blink Stalker style, I am a little bit more worried for RagnaroK.
Yeah, 100%. It's, as you said, it's kind of a new star, right, that hasn't been exactly figured out by most Zergs. And normally what happens is Zerg players kind of, they, like, once one Zerg figures it out, you know, a lot of them start to follow suit. But as we've seen, because it's such a relative new style, like even Rogue, the GSL champion, had so much trouble against Hero. So we'll have to see if Classic is going to go for that again, or maybe meta a bit and do something a bit different to switch it up and catch Ragnar off guard.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, from what I've seen, especially in the ESL weeklies, it seems as if the way to approach it is to go Ling Roach Ravager, focus on your melee upgrades, and then eventually work into ultras. And usually when that happens, the Protoss player would have to transition themselves into Immortals or Skytoss, and get out of that like Mass Blink Stalker style. But of course, it takes a long time to get there. For a Zerg player to do that, they need to saturate their forts. They need a 5th base. Like, they need an economy strong enough to do that. So they have to like weather the storm until they get there. And yeah, we'll see if that's the approach that RagnaroK goes for. Or again, we talked about it before. RagnaroK is one of the more creative players. Maybe he has his own answer.
Yeah, 100%. And we kind of see, like,
Oh my god.
Zerg's some links for RagnaroK. This timing on the 3rd, that's actually a really early 3rd base, and I'm kind of thinking, like, from the way that Classic's kind of set up here, he's looking to, you know, it is a possibility to go for this mass economical low low tech style. But if I was RagnaroK, I wouldn't be trying to break through here. I'd be trying to go for that third base. But then again, maybe you can get through, but a gateway's place.
I was gonna say, mate, ¿por qué no los dos? Never mind. The oracles are out, and this is the, this is the power of the oracles. This is why you open up Stargate like this, because oracles, they just decimate all of these lings. Unfortunately, RagnaroK, he got a kill on a stalker, and that's it. I agree. I think it would have been safer to just focus down that third base. He may have forced a cancel.
Yeah, unfortunate. And again, like every time you make a commitment to ground, that's taken away from your economy. So really, really kind of not good for RagnaroK that he wasn't able to get much damage done. Of course, he got a stalker, but just from the way like things are looking, the Twilight and a Forge on the way, I think we're going to see a similar style to the previous game unfold here.
Oh yeah, 100%. Classic, he is going for the same kind of composition. Meanwhile, with these two oracles, he dives on in, he gets 4 drone kills, and gonna get even more here in the main base. There are spores, so again, it's not like there's no anti-air, but oh my god, Classic just got so much.
Yeah, he does indeed. And these oracles, he doesn't want to lose them again. It's just like the previous game. But he does keep them safe light, and if you're RagnaroK, that's to be kind of tilting, you know?
1 HP, mate. 1 HP. I don't know if you saw, there was a moment there as well where Classic stuttered with his Oracle. Like, like if Classic had maybe, like, tried to stutter step himself forward a little bit, maybe he would have gotten it, but Classic, he gets away with it. The Oracles are safe and sound, and just like the last game, Blink and +1 on the way.
Blink and +1 indeed, light. And every time I see you know, these kind of this build order follows suit, it makes me think this is quite a scary situation for RagnaroK. He's only on 51 drones, and Classic, there we go. He's kind of, there's a lot of roaches for RagnaroK, however, but with these oracles just in the skies, I'm not sure if he can really get anything decisively done here.
We'll see, because the roaches, they can power through that Adept. The Lynx can float on in afterwards, but the roaches, okay, there we go, they go for it.
Oh, you're right. And actually, they do get through the wall. Decent force field. There's no Ravagers, but there's Lings in the natural, there's Lings in the main, and there's Lings outside the front. Like,
yeah, let's go. This is exactly what RagnaroK needed to come back in this game, to be able to even things up when it comes to the economy. The Lings are still alive in the main base, by the way. Probes are still going down.
Yeah, great little moves actually, and even getting 10 probes. Wow, really good work. As we see Classic now, he's going to be adding on a 3rd Oracle.
Wow.
Another Stalker getting taken out too. Wow,
yeah,
okay.
And another probe as well. Like, again, RagnaroK is getting things done. Honestly, he needed to get that done, though. Like, he would have been in such a devastating position if he didn't get that economic damage, if he didn't force Classic to warp in at home and force all that chaos to ensue. So, RagnaroK, he is fighting back.
It is indeed. It's good to see, but just looking at, like, the infrastructure for Classic now, he's got... What's that? 4 + 4. What's that? That's 8. Light. Quick maths. He's got 8 gateways and 55 workers. I think he's fully saturated. There's no gas at the 3rd.
Yeah.
This looks like a strong attack.
It really is, mate. He is pushing out across the map. And RagnaroK is going for something interesting. He is trying to go into Hydras. Quite an expensive option. We'll see if he can get there. He has saturated all of his gases. But before that happens, before the Hydras come out, the Stalkers are here.
Stalkers are here indeed. And there's not many roaches. And it's just like the lack of range, the bonus damage from the Stalkers on the roaches. It feels like as this skirmish goes on, it's going to favor their Stalkers. They'll just trade more efficiently. But RagnaroK does have a hefty kind of worker lead. So with Hydras coming in too, they'll supplement the range, and the lack of armored tag will help out Holden's push, but the immediate threat is here right now. Like,
yeah, what I will say, and I do have to criticize this a little bit for Classic, is that he doesn't really have a reinforcement point. This kind of build doesn't rely on a warp prison, but you do need like a gateway in the middle of the map or something to help warp in and help keep the pressure up. Meanwhile, RagnaroK overextending a little bit. He doesn't have that much of a buffer for his roaches or Hydras.
Yeah, wow, and here we go. RagnaroK is going to divide it and conquer. His Roach is getting isolated, more units coming in, but Classic should blink away here now. But no, it looks like he maybe wants to commit. And actually, with the Oracles, that might be the right idea. Maybe not. There's no reinforcement point.
Yeah, again, there are no reinforcements here. The Stalkers are coming in from across the map, though. And again, I've said this before, actually. I guess because it's Berlingrad, warping it at home, I guess, is a reinforcement point. Like, the map is pretty small.
It is indeed. It is a small boy map as we see some charge lots coming in too, and Classic securing this 4th base, and RagnaroK, he's also on 4 bases too. So he's in a reasonable position, and I'm just trying to think. Roach Hydra Ling against Mass Stalker. What are your thoughts on that, lad?
I don't think I'm fond of it. I guess there is an end game there, which is maybe to get into lurkers, but he has to be really careful. We'll see if it does end up working in the end. Charge only just now starts, so we have slow lots coming in here for Classic. Meanwhile, ooh, Hydras are getting caught out here as they reinforce.
Yeah, and actually the Hydras, they're not a bad touch to do with these Oracles. They're already battered and weak, and they can't really engage properly. They get shot down by the Hydras, but the Roaches on the ground, the Stalkers, it looks like RagnaroK may just have enough to push this back for now.
Yeah, he does. He forces Classic all the way back. He just doesn't have enough momentum going his way. He lost the majority of his Oracles as well. He just forces his way through that choke point, and RagnaroK, he's doing it. He just keeps on pushing.
Yeah, and Classic's been so focused on being the aggressor. He's got no shield batteries here to help him out. But just looking at the supply now, like so many Roaches on the way as well. It's kind of it's difficult. And RagnaroK making a right choice going for this gateway. We're on the right hand side. That will cut the production of Classic in half.
It will if it does end up falling. Meanwhile, there we go. Classic had a pretty massive mineral bank. Now it's being spent. Shield batteries are being thrown down on the left hand side. What about the right? We do have a couple of shield batteries here. The Roaches are breaking through the gateways.
There are indeed 3 gateways going down. Classic is starting to float a little bit more. Shield battery popped super battery, but actually, like, the CranKy is not amazing for RagnaroK, but I don't think Classic can actually pursue. But RagnaroK, if he stays around, I don't think the trade's going too well for him.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. The Overcharge putting in a lot of work, keeping everything alive. The Roach army is slowly whittling away. Hydra's doing a lot of DPS behind this, though. Bear that in mind. Is it going to be enough here? Oh god, it's kind of close.
Yeah, I think with the micro capability of the Stalkers, I think Classic, yeah, he's going to hold on, but like, he's won the battle. He hasn't won the war, light, as we see. RagnaroK is coming around and he's just churning out Roaches of 74 drones, and the macro, the injects he's doing is just insane. And Classic, he needs to be really careful because these Oracles can't assist with the Hydras at this time.
Yeah, and mate, there are no overcharges available. It was used earlier here. He's trying to blink on backwards, but the Roaches are getting on top of these Stalkers. Can RagnaroK do it with the mass Roaches coming across the map? It looks like he's breaking him.
That's it. This is the moment that RagnaroK's been looking for. He's kind of stemmed the tide, the flow of this really high economy star with the Ling run by earlier, and it looks like the Stalker count is dwindling for Classic as RagnaroK doubles his supply light, and I think we're going to be seeing GG quite soon, and we're going to be seeing a game 4.
Yeah, the 4th has been broken. Every single worker will end up falling here. Meanwhile, the reinforcements for Classic just aren't going to be enough. He doesn't have the production for it because the gateways that were taken out earlier, he can't spend his money. Look at that bank. Got a lot of minerals, not so much gas, and you need gas for those Stalkers.
You do indeed, and you also need a cyber core for those Stalkers. Drop down. Charlotte's going to come in, try and assist, but the dwindling Protoss forces are going to be forced back to one of their last strongholds, the Bastion, and which the last Protoss remnants will fall. And GG is called. RagnaroK shows he's not going to roll over, and he can keep pushing.
GG, and I kind of like this from RagnaroK. You were talking about it, but the Hydras, their role there was as anti-air to deal with those Oracles. They also had added a lot of extra DPS there on those Stalkers as well from the back line, and he didn't overcommit to the Hydras. There were only a handful of them. Like, he just got enough as a supportive unit. He really relied a lot more on those Roaches.
Yeah, 100%, lad. I fully agree. Just enough to kind of make the Oracles obsolete because the value they were gaining with the energy that they just kept stacking up and using was nuts. But once you got a handful of them, not only does it deal with the Oracles, it just gives it a little bit more kind of a bite to the... It increases the DPS of his army. He's pumping out so many Roaches that, like, he never kind of had his backbone of Roaches broken. So those Hydras, even though they weren't in high numbers, they were consistently doing damage throughout that entire game since they were out.
Boy, yeah. Exactly. And with that, RagnaroK, what's important is that he fights back. He puts a point on the board. He will not be 3-0'd. It's RagnaroK, mate. Of course not. You know, he's one of the best players in all of South Korea. He will not be done dirty like that. And now, ooh, hopefully his mental is now reset. If he was being bothered earlier by how the night has been going, hopefully now he has recovered and he can focus on what is ahead of him on potentially, you know, qualifying here.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we think it's great for RagnaroK, especially be a bit of a mental boon to take that game, especially in classics when they're playing the style that he feels comfortable with. But also classic, like, is he going to adapt or is he going to just kind of do the same kind of style? We'll have to see how it kind of, you know, how he approaches this game. But anyway, spawning in the top right position, it is your Zerg representing Alpha X. He's down 2-1 at the moment. Can he bring it back and take it to an ace match? It is RagnaroK.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself, representing himself, currently still up in the series 2-1. Only needs one more, uno más, to qualify for HomeStory Cup. It is Classic.
No más.
No mas, mate. That is all he needs. Oh boy. And now we're on a bit of a larger map here. We're on Glittering Ashes. Yeah, we'll see who this favors more here. It did feel like RagnaroK was able to get momentum and just really take advantage of that in the last game. It's going to be a little bit harder to do that on this map.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we kind of have to think about like I mean, Glittering Ashes is kind of a cool name when you think about it, but it's a very wide map, and I think mobility will probably be the name of the game as you kind of like go through. I don't know how useful Broodlords will be. Like, of course, it depends on the game state, but I feel like we're going to see some play from each player. That's like Blink Stalkers will probably be common, and also Speedlings that will help kind of get map control.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Like, that's kind of the big difference between what we saw from RagnaroK and what we've seen from other Zerg players, is the reliance on Lings to support your Roaches instead, to help deal with those Stalkers. I guess you could argue that it wasn't quite as necessary on Berlingrad, but because this map is so much larger, I do think that a reliance on them is going to be a little bit more required here. Meanwhile, on the side of Classic, I'm sure he's just going to do more of the same. It's been working for him for the most part.
Yeah, and you know, you can say that like maybe RagnaroK's starting to figure it out, but he caught Classic off guard. He broke down the wall, got the Lings in, got some worker damage, and just kind of like slowed down that steam engine of a play style. So I'm sure if he amends that, you know, he's got an extra game in hand as well. So far, you know, he was up 2-0 at the start, so it's worked so far. We'll just have to see, you know, if he does actually need to switch it up, if RagnaroK takes this game, or if RagnaroK's going to be able to replicate his success from the last game.
We'll see. I mean, so far, Stargate opener coming out from Classic, going for that Oracle first, so it does seem as if, for the time being, it is the same kind of build, the same kind of opener that we've seen time and time again from Classic. Meanwhile, across time, he's trying to harass with this Adept. Ooh, does get a Creep Tumor, and looking to try and maybe shade in, but with these Lings, not going to be worth it. Doesn't want to throw away his Adept.
Yeah, it's being quite conservative. Adepts, you know, until Ling speeds out, they are really useful. Once Ling speeds out, a little bit less so you probably want to keep them home. You know, put them to plug a wall.
Yeah.
Just help you defend your third base, especially when you're getting a third this fast, which is what Classic's doing. But Ling's actually run in light, and the Oracle. Oracle, it's like dealing with like flies, man. Just swats them down.
He just swats it away. But that's kind of a win there for RagnaroK. He forces the Pulsar Beam on 3 Lings, right? Like, ideally, we want to be conserving that energy to kill workers across the map. So arguably worth it for RagnaroK. As he's getting ready at home, 2 Queens at the third. We got a Spore at the natural. We got Spores in the main. It's gonna be a little bit difficult to find some damage, but yo, he dives in anyway. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Up.
comes in, 2 oracles again. Not too lucky. One of them does get sniped, and actually quite huge. That's good for RagnaroK. Already classic. He's going to be a bit more kind of cautious about how he approaches this game, and being cautious means less opportunities to kind of get worker damage done. But the Adept's coming in, just going to poke and back off. But yeah, watch the space light, because this could be an interesting game again, as we see Forge and Twilight coming down. Possible single playstyle on there.
Yeah, this is basically the new Double Stargate Void Ray. We're going to see a lot of it in the coming weeks, in the coming months. But what's important is that it's a much more active style, and it's more fun to watch. Meanwhile, the Spore is still not here. He finds more damage.
Yes, he does. 8 drones going down. That's huge. That's even though RagnaroK just makes 10 drones, he's got 6 more on the way. But people don't realize that every drone you kill, yeah, it's 50 minerals gone. But you lose the mining time till you replace that drone, you lose another 50 drones to replace it, and you also lose that lava. So drone damage is actually huge in this matchup, especially this early on.
Yeah, I was going to criticize Classic a little bit for being sloppy with his Oracle control to begin with, to lose an Oracle that early on for only 4 drone kills. But now looking at the units lost, 1 Oracle for 12 drones, well worth it. And these 2 are still alive, they still have energy, they're still looking to get more damage done.
Yeah, indeed, as we see, it just makes you think too. If you had that 3rd Oracle, the one that got sniped at the start, but wow, that's quite a fast 4th base by Classic, and you can kind of afford to do this considering how kind of, on tabs he's keeping. He sees the Zerglings being kept at home. He's annoying the Queens, and he's going to get a scout off as well to see what is going on exactly. But yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, I love this scout, by the way, just confirming the gases, confirming and making sure that there's no hidden hydrogen again, like the previous game. And, ooh, speaking of hidden tech, we do have a Spire. Oh my god, to the top left! Wow. Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Especially because we just saw a double Hulk scout into the main base, right? Classic was trying to figure out what the hell RagnaroK was doing, what all this gas was for, because all 4 gases were taken, which is quite a lot, to be honest. Maybe to go Hydras again, but it's for a Spire, and there's how is Classic going to see this?
I gotta say, I love the execution. I think it's very clever. But I feel like it's not the right choice when you're going against someone missing because of.
You're not wrong. You're not. Okay, look.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah. It's really cool. Yo, RagnaroK, he's got all the style points right now, alright? He's... we were talking about it before, in his brain, in his mind, he's already in Germany. But we'll see if he can actually get there in reality, as we do have a little bit of a Ling run by here. It is going to get cleaned up. Not really going to do too much of anything. Can the Muta Switch work here against Blink Stalkers? They're Blink Stalkers. They're not Archons. They're not Phoenixes, They're just Blink Stalkers.
Puppy. I don't know, man. You're gonna have to be very defensive, as we've seen time and time again. RagnaroK's creep spread, because he's been so focused with dealing with these oracles, it's not great, and you need great creep spread when you're doing a style with this against against mass Blink Stalker. So I'm just not sure. We'll have to see what happens.
I believe, mate. I believe RagnaroK knows what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just gonna die right here, right now. We'll see. Oh my god. As so far, no, the Lings do get shaved off once again. The Mutas are out. By the way, Mutas are sneaking around the edge of the map. They're headed towards the natural base, mate. They're not gonna fight head on. They're gonna force a reaction. They're gonna get probe kills and maybe even force a recall.
Yeah, potentially. And this is kind of he's done the hard part, which is staying alive until the Mutas get out. But I'll have to see how Classic kind of reacts if he recalls home. He just does a huge warp in at home. That is an Artosis piling at the wall there, actually. Wow, that's powering 4 gateways.
It is, mate, but the probes are falling left and right. 13, 14 probes go down. At the same time, we did have a Ling run by at the 4th base. It gets cleaned up. Overcharge was popped, and we do see that the Mutas are able to dance between the bases. They get out. They head on over towards this 4th, and they just keep getting probe kills.
Yeah, that's actually nuts, and it's not even a large investment. It's only about 8-9 meters.
Yeah.
He's only got 8 meterless. That's 21 probes. Of course the Lings help too, but 21 probes going down when you make 8 meters. That's actually very impressive. But again, 7 meters now. Like, is he gonna have enough to stop this army?
I mean, mate, RagnaroK, he's maxed out. He only made a harassing force of mutas. He has a Ling, Roach, Ravager, which is what you want against these Stalkers. He forces a Blink. Oh, doesn't want to force a fight yet. Again, these are vanilla units. He doesn't have any upgrades. Not yet. Oh my god, he's going to be losing a lot to these Stalkers.
Yeah, he does indeed. And unfortunately, when you're off creep, when you're this far away from creep, those Blink Stalkers, yeah, they're just going to trade super well. And, you know, he's still up in supply, or he's just slightly dropped now, but he's got 15 Roaches and 26 Lings in actual supply. His standing army is tiny, like.
Yeah, it's non-existent, mate. He's going to try and dive on this, but the stasis traps go off as well. He will force to be cancelled that 4th base, and he lost so much supply in the middle of the map. He was just caught completely unawares. Baneling's going to try and roll in, but again, Banelings do nothing to Stalkers.
Yeah, no, that's it. As we see reinforcements on the left, and RagnaroK's army might struggle to deal with that on the left side too. But like, I feel like you can't even say he needs to give up this base, because he'd only be down 3 base against a 5 base Protoss. He has to fight. He needs to pull drones or something, but he's just going to get crushed by this Protoss army.
Yeah, exactly. The mutas did well for themselves, but what about everything else, right? Because of the gas investment into the mutas, we didn't have +1 range, we didn't have +1 melee. GG gets caught. Classic takes the series 3-1, and Classic is getting that plane ticket. He is going to HomeStory Cup.
That he is indeed. Well played by the veteran, and man, that's great for him. He's, you know, as I was talking about earlier, exposure and chilling out in Europe with all your pro gamer homies.
Yo, let's go. GG, well played. Congratulations, Classic. Congratulations, Papi. He has done it despite being a free agent, despite not having a team to support him. He supports himself, mate. He is going overseas. He's getting that plane ticket. He's going to Germany. Oh, and my condolences to RagnaroK. He came so close. He was in 2 qualifying matches, but didn't make it in the end, despite styling and having that hidden spire.
Yeah, indeed. Quite unfortunate for RagnaroK to come so close and then kind of just drop out against Bunny, and then unfortunately unable to take it out against Classic as well. But he's a strong player. He will be back for sure. But yeah, Light, it's how many more like Protoss like destroying Zerg until I can rewrite the narrative?
Mate, they've always been destroying Zerg. What are you on about? What are you on about? Oh god, but yeah, GG. Again, when it comes to that hidden spire, like bringing it back to that last game, I do think that like in the end it was a good move. But let's not forget that RagnaroK was caught in the middle of the map, and he lost a lot there, like trying to run away and escape the army. Like when I saw him in the middle of the map, I thought he was intentionally trying to catch the Protoss. I thought that was the plan, and then I looked and I saw that it was an anti-timing. He had 1-1 on the way still, and it's like, oh, what are we doing here? It's like, what is the plan, RagnaroK? And it was just a snowball effect where he lost a bit of supply and then more and then more and then more, and then he triggered a counterattack, and then suddenly, oh, he has nothing left. It's like,
yeah, RagnaroK, he played that game like pretty well actually, but it came down to holding that push, and that was the concern. Like Spire, it's risky. Not only directly risky, as in mutas aren't great versus the mass blink stalker kind of play style, but it's also risky because you delay your tech, you delay your upgrades, and you you don't delay your tech, you get mutas obviously, but you don't really set yourself up well in the mid game against that sort of style, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like we saw how late all those upgrades were, right? We saw how late everything else was because of that massive gas investment. And it's something that you can get away with, but I do think that you just have to be a little bit more defensive, right? You just have to be more willing to stay at home a little bit longer, let your mutas do their thing, and survive. And unfortunately, RagnaroK was a little bit too trigger happy. GG, well played. I'm sure this isn't the last we've seen of RagnaroK, because something that I haven't mentioned, but I think is important to mention, is that this is the 2nd Korean qualifier, and there is still one more after this. There is still a 3rd Korean qualifier in a couple of days.